All right, thank you everybody who's attending today. For today, we have Eva Coppinger. Eva is part of the ASA and Eva Media LLC based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and she is a photographer slash videographer. And so today, I'm just going to let Eva kind of introduce herself and we'll dive into some questions. So go ahead, Eva.
Cool. Yeah. Like Clay said, my name's Eva Coppinger. I co-own uh, a media business with my husband Asa, and yeah, we do photography mostly for portraiture, family, wedding photography, and then video as well. And our video clients are typically weddings or commercial. We do a lot of projects for some nonprofits here in town. And yeah, that's the main
Cool.
scoop.
Yeah. So as we kind of dive into it, we're going to go over some questions about excuse me, career overview, skills and tools, education and training, career path and opportunities, and then advice for students. So, without further ado, first question I have for you is, what does a typical day look like as a photographer?
Yeah, so I guess I'll choose like a day that I would have a shoot maybe. Um, so if I'm doing like a family shoot, let's say, a typical day might look like um, getting that scheduled for an evening, going out to the location that we had planned, meeting the family, kind of explaining our process, and then shooting the photos, and then coming back. And I usually offload them right away and edit some preview pictures so that the family has something if they want to post them right away. And then um, maybe doing some editing or not. But then I guess if we're talking about like a typical day for editing, there's certain days of the week that I dedicate mostly to editing. And so that might just be blocking out certain hours of my day. I work from home and I have a child, so he'll go with grandma and grandpa, and I'll do some editing. Yeah.
Cool. And I know you mentioned a little bit about doing some family shoots. With that in mind, what types of photography do you like to special in? So like it could be family shoots, portraits, events, landscape, all anything. So
Yeah. Yeah. Right now in our season of life, we're mostly doing family shoots. I mentioned I have a son, so we typically know a lot of families and that are needing photos. So that's kind of what we're specializing in at the moment. But other than that, we do weddings and some like portraiture for um, like nonprofits or organizations here in town.
nice. And so how did you first get into photography? Like how did you first start?
Yeah, so I think I was gifted a digital camera when I was in middle school, and then I just had always enjoyed playing around with that, and um, it was just like a fun hobby for me. And then in high school, when I got a job, I kind of committed to a goal of raising enough money to then buy a professional SLR camera. And then after that, towards the end of high school, my friends were needing senior pictures, and I had kind of been off and on practicing with them and just doing some fun shoots throughout my years in high school. And then my first paid shoots were then those senior shoots, my senior year of high school. Um, and yeah, so those are my first paying clients. They were really just friends or um, some like acquaintances I knew at school. And then when I got to college, I started working in my college's marketing department, and that really helped me because I had a mentor that really showed me um, a little bit more about the technical skills and stuff with cameras. And I had a lot of opportunity to shoot events on campus, and that really helped me gain some um, knowledge and also gain some more connections with people. And from there, I just like the weddings I would shoot or the different shoots I had were mostly people I knew or people that um, knew people that I had taken photos of. So that's just kind of how that grew.
Nice. And so obviously you're doing a lot of different things as a photographer. You may be in different locations or working with different types of people. But what are some of the things that you enjoy the most about photography?
Yeah, I enjoy encouraging people through the business. I think a lot of times people aren't comfortable in front of a camera, so um, I love the opportunity to take people's photos and then show them how beautiful they are, or just getting to know them during the shoot. Um, and specifically with family photography right now, I love getting to know the families and just enjoying the time I have with the kids and playing around. It's really just fun. Like the shoot, obviously you need skills and stuff, but it's a really fun time. And when you get that connection with the people you're working with, it's like it's very enjoyable.
Nice. Well, what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a photographer?
Yeah, so I would say nowadays, again, new season of life. I'm in my 30s now. Um, things kind of shift as far as like what I'm photographing. So I'm no longer, surrounded by younger people or maybe even people that need as much wedding photography anymore. So sometimes the challenges are just staying relevant or keeping my name out, um, getting my name out there. Um, I'm pretty introverted, always have been. So I think the marketing side of it for me has always been a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I'd say that's the bigger challenge for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, as far as skills and tools, we're going to move on to this section a little bit, but what would you say are some of the technical skills that are most important for someone interested in photography?
Yeah, I would say knowing how to, operate a SLR camera, a professional camera, knowing about lenses and the looks you'll get with different lenses. So yeah, knowing how to shoot in manual mode on a camera is really helpful. And then understanding the editing software um, is definitely something um, that's very available to learn now with YouTube, or you could find tons of tutorials out there to learn. But those are good technical skills to know.
Cool. And kind of involved with the technical skills, you're going to have to be able to use that equipment that you have. So, what kind of equipment do you use, and how important is it to have professional equipment when you first start?
Yeah, currently I use a Canon R6 and I mostly shoot with my 85 millimeter lens for portraiture or family photography. At weddings, I'll sometimes shoot with a 28 millimeter or 50 millimeter, depending on the room or the location we're in. Um, I don't think that professional, you know, highly expensive equipment is necessary at the very beginning, especially if you're just trying to get traction and understand how to operate a camera. It might even be better to get a more simple camera to start. Um, but I do think there is something to having, like, for instance, my 85 millimeter. I just purchased that about 3 years ago, and it really upgraded my photos just because of the amount of bokeh in the photos. It really made a difference. But you kind of, as you go along, you learn the things that you need and the different situations you're usually in. And um, I think it's just one step at a time. If you start getting paid clients and you can save up for a better camera, um, it'll definitely pay off and make your photos better. But yeah, I don't think professional equipment is necessary at the very beginning.
Okay. And I know you mentioned earlier that, there are days you set aside for editing, which I think maybe might be a bit of a misconception for a lot of people, thinking that photography is just taking the photo, but I imagine there's a lot of time you spend editing those photos. So, um, I guess how much of your work is the editing and what kind of software do you use?
Mm, yeah. Um, I would say the majority of my time is editing because, well, it depends. If we have a wedding shoot, obviously that's a full day. But uh, trying to think of some numbers. So maybe on a typical hour-long family shoot, I'll spend 3 to 4 hours editing. Um, I get pretty detailed. I don't know if everyone gets as detailed, but um, yeah. So I would say the majority, just time-wise, is yeah, editing. Um, and yeah, is that did that answer your question?
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess the other part was what software do you use
Oh,
mostly?
software. Yes, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I use Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop for most of my photos. Um, yeah, I would say those are the two biggest ones.
Okay. And so being in a field where you're, taking pictures and being creative like that, it can be kind of hard to stand out at times, I imagine. So what do you do to stay creative and continue improving your skills to make you stand out?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I feel like this is something I'm challenged with lately. I, my husband and I have at times will kind of challenge each other to just whip out the camera and take photos of whatever we're doing that day. Try to just keep our skills sharp and kind of like our muscle memory with the camera. We'll take a lot of photos of our son or go on walks and take pictures out in nature. Um, and to just like keep coming back to the camera and keep like improving our skills. Sometimes we'll ask friends to be a part of shoots that we're not asking them to pay for, but just that we had an idea or it's going to be Christmas season and we want to kind of test out some new decorations or a new rental studio in town. And so we'll just ask them to be our models and kind of practice with them. But yeah.
Cool. And then the last question for this section, I think the phrase, you have an eye for photography kind of gets thrown around a little bit. And so when I think about that, I wanted to know, is this something that you would say you're born with an eye for photography, or is it something that you kind of develop over time?
Yeah, I mean, mostly you can develop it. Um, there's definitely like standard rules of composition and lighting and things like that that are more technical and maybe more practical that everyone can learn and apply to their pictures. Um, I do think there's maybe something to it if you're passionate about it and you're really engaged and interested in being creative and trying new techniques and lighting and things like that. That can definitely increase like the um, the look of your pictures. And but I also think if you just focus on the more technical skills, like over time, if you do them consistently, then you're gonna maybe be more engaged and interested in trying new things and upping your game, I guess.
Oh, that's fair. Um, as we move on to the education and training now, I know you went to college, and got your degree in graphic design, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, and so when I think about photographers, there are some that just kind of start up and without the college experience. So I guess what kind of education or training would you recommend, as far as, would you go as far to say you should get a college degree in this or something that you should just kind of learn as you go?
Yeah, I kind of had to think about that one a little bit. I think it depends on what you want to pursue. So if you want to go into like journalism and be more of a photographer for like a yeah, like a newspaper or something, I think a college degree could really help you there, especially just making connections in the community and things like that. Also, if you want to do like fine art photography, like you want to get involved in like museum curation or like things that are a little bit more higher end, that might be something you go to school for. Maybe you get a studio art degree for. But if you're just wanting to do like you want to be a photographer here in Lincoln, Nebraska, you want to do some weddings, you want to do senior pictures, um, that's something I think you can build like pretty well on your own just as an entrepreneur. There's plenty of like workshops here in town that I think there's usually something you pay to take them, but there's a lot of photographers willing to share their knowledge and skills with newer photographers. There's also like photographers that are more nationally known that have like online courses that you can pay for, or like live events online. And I think just attending those, just kind of having your eyes out, following certain photographers you like on Instagram and kind of seeing what they're offering or what they do. I've I've had people shadow me before on shoots. That's really helpful. Being a second shooter for weddings is also very helpful, um, because that's probably one of the biggest event type of subjects that photographers capture, and you get paid pretty well, and you get to kind of see a photographer in action. Um, so those are options if you don't want to go to college. I think it's totally possible to. I mean, I didn't need my degree in graphic design to do what I'm doing now. So um, definitely possible without a college degree, I think.
Okay. Um, I'm kind of piggybacking on the college idea here. Are there any specific classes or programs that helped you? Maybe just more than others, um, as far as your career goes.
Yeah, so I can think of in high school, there was a photographer that was a few grades older than me, and he did some workshops in Lincoln. Um, and that was really helpful. Not only did I learn things, but I also got connected to other photographers. So then we could help each other on our shoots or get to know clients that way, which was helpful. It's kind of like a big networking event as well. So that was helpful for me. And then um, that same photographer I just mentioned, he um, did a lot of wedding shoots, and he was really kind. He kind of took me under his wing, I guess, in high school, and I second shot weddings with him, and that was extremely beneficial for me because I I think I was more timid about the directing portion of photography or like telling people what to do. I was pretty shy. So getting to see him in action and understanding the responsibility he had kind of prepared me for when I started shooting weddings or bigger events. Um, and I could just ask him questions during the shoot, like, "Hey, what setting are you using here? What would you recommend I be shooting right now?" Like different things like that. And he was very willing to help me out. And I think most photographers are very willing to teach their skills. So yeah, almost like an apprenticeship within the photography world. Yeah, was really helpful.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a pretty nice community to be part of. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and that, as far as that goes, that's kind of all I had on education and training. But as far as career path and opportunities, I know you spoke a little bit about having your first paying clients, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
they were mainly just friends at first, but then it kind of turned into other people after that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, post post friends starting you out, how did you get your
Mm-hmm.
first paying clients that weren't necessarily super close with you?
Yeah, I would say it was people that had seen my work. Um, when I started doing the senior shoots, it was like just when Instagram started, but I was posting on there and Facebook, and so friends of friends would see the work, and then they would contact me, hey, you want to do the senior shoot? And that just kind of happened the years after I started doing those senior photos. And um, it was just basically friends of friends seeing it on social media. So social media is huge. I think just, seeing your images out there. If someone likes them, they can easily contact you. So that was how I started getting people I didn't know, I guess. And then we typically bring, when I started wedding photography, I would bring my business cards with me, and I would leave them with the DJ, or if the couple let me, I would set them on a table somewhere. So if anyone was interested, um, they could reach out. Um, I got a few people that way. Um, and then also, if you ever shoot weddings or you're shooting at events, it's really helpful to get to know the vendors there, because a lot of times they'll be posting to their social media for their um, expertise or whatever, and then they'll often tag the other vendors that are a part of the event. And so it's just more ways to get your name out there. And I got some paying clients through that as well. Yeah.
Cool. What kinds of photography jobs are available for someone that's just starting out?
Yeah, just starting out, I would say I think senior photos is a great place to start. Um, and if you know, if you have any connections to, let's say, like a nonprofit or an organization in town that is also just trying to get the word out about their company or organization, um, you could offer to take photos for their events, or just a lot of people are looking for that and they don't have a lot of money to spare, but it's a way for you to get your name out there. And it's possible, like Ace and I have done pro bono work, or like free work for organizations before, but then eventually they became paying clients. So, because like a lot of nonprofits will just be looking for people to take their pictures. They just need someone. And not saying you would be bad when you first are starting out, but that's a way where it's kind of like low pressure, but you're getting your name out there and you're practicing and getting better at your craft and stuff. Um, yeah, I would suggest that to start.
And so thinking about kind of the first opportunities that are available, would you say that there's more opportunities working for certain companies, or would it be more in the freelance side of work?
I think it depends on where you want to go. I know if you want to do work for companies, like say work in a marketing department, I would recommend getting a bachelor's degree, because that's typically the minimum standard to work in those positions. And those positions are out there, although you'd probably be doing more than just photography. But if you're solely wanting to focus on photography, I think there's plenty of freelance opportunities. Um, and I think it would just start with scrolling through your social media and seeing what's potentially available, maybe DMing some organizations and asking if you could take their pictures. Or I think it's just kind of, yeah, putting yourself out there.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the job outside of like the actual job you do is a lot of marketing to make sure your name's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So on to our last section here. I only got three questions left for you. But this will be advice for the students that are watching this. So the first question I have is, what do you wish you would have known before you started a career in photography?
Mm. I wish, I'm trying to think. Hmm. I guess um, it would have been helpful, when I'm first starting out to not put so much pressure on myself. Although that's just a natural thing that happens when you're first, you know, starting something out. I think sometimes I'd put so much pressure on myself, I'd be a little awkward during shoots. And it's just a lot of it is just helping people feel comfortable. And if you see it, I think, I guess what would have been helpful that I understand now is like putting myself in their shoes and thinking like, oh, like they're the ones with the camera on them. Like they're, um, yeah, that's helped me because then it helps me understand kind of how they're feeling and to not get so frustrated with myself when a pose isn't working or something like that. Like, just making people feel comfortable, and it's all just you want you're doing the best that you can for them, and just believing that and being confident in that, I guess.
Cool. Um, what skills or habits should a high school student start developing right now, in order to have some success in this field?
I think just getting out with your camera every day and just shooting whatever you can. I think I mentioned muscle memory earlier, but it's seriously a thing. Like, if you're using your camera often, you're going to be a lot more quick and able to capture photos you might not be able to if you're more rusty. um, and so, yeah, just getting out every day, trying to be curious about the world around you and capturing as much as you can, I think is just a good game plan. And even if you're not getting paying clients, just being committed to doing that would would be helpful.
That's fair. All right, last question I have for you. What advice would you give someone who's passionate about photography but isn't quite sure how to turn it into a career?
Yeah, I would say if you know of any photographers in Lincoln or wherever you live that you admire, they're nearby, I would say just reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm new to this. Can I shadow you? Can I get some advice on this or that? Um, and I'm sure they'd be willing to offer some help, um, or direct you to resources. I think the community, at least in Lincoln, that I'm aware of, is just really encouraging of each other, and they're always opting to grow. And I'm sure that any photographer around here would love to help you out and grow the community.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's all I got for you today. Just thanks for joining us, and I'm sure this will be really helpful for some students.
I hope so. Yeah, and whoever's watching, feel free to reach out. You can go to our website asanevamedia.com, and contact me through there, and I'd be happy to help you if you have any specific questions too.
All right. Thank you.